From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good Wednesday morning. It's 5 o'clock. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thank you for starting your day with us. Our top story this morning, President Trump says he's ready to approve funding for airlines, small businesses, and stimulus checks if they come as standalone bills. Last night, the president tweeted he was putting an end to stimulus package talks until after the election, blasting House Speaker Nancy Pelosi in the process. White House officials said Pelosi made it clear she wanted $0 instead of $1.6 trillion. The president's announcement rocked Wall Street. Both the Dow and S&P tumbled on Tuesday. Doctors continue to monitor President Trump's condition as they treat him for COVID-19 at the White House. He did not appear in public Tuesday, but on Twitter he wrote that he was feeling great. President Trump's doctor released a brief update on his condition, saying his vital signs were stable and that he reported feeling no symptoms. More people close to the president have contracted the virus. Yesterday, White House advisor Stephen Miller became the latest administration official to test positive. Now it's time to get a check of weather with Ed. Ed's joining us here on this Wednesday, midweek. What's going on today? I know it's like one of those roller coaster type weeks.
It is. Yesterday we were really warm. Today we're just going to be warm. 54 right now. The temperature backed off just a little bit, but that's still well above where we would normally be for this time of the year. How about yesterday as we set some record high temperatures? Bozeman and Helena tied records for the day in the mid 80s. Kalispell a new record. Buffalo, Wyoming 87 degrees, 4 degrees warmer than the old record. Here in Billings 88 degrees yesterday afternoon, set a new record from what was previously set back in 1980. Sheridan, Livingston, Grable, all record setters yesterday. This morning we're starting off with as cool as the 30s around Butte up towards Kalispell, where we had that record high temperature yesterday, then 40s and 50s into the eastern plains. For southern Montana and northern Wyoming, the morning is starting off mainly in the mid 40s to the mid 50s, even upper 50s. Check out Big Timber at 58, Columbus at 61 degrees this morning, getting a benefit of a little bit of that downsloping wind. Temperatures in the mid 70s today, running about 10 degrees warmer than average. We'll talk more about that coming up in a little while.
All right, sounds good, and I will get on back with the news.
Thanks.
Said. The debate stage is set, and tonight the vice presidential candidates will face off. Both Mike Pence and Kamala Harris tested negative for the coronavirus yesterday, but there are still extra safety measures being put in place. CBS's Daniel Backus shows us how this debate is expected to be different.
After last week's contentious presidential debate,
Will you shut up, man? Listen. There's nothing smart about you, Joe.
Mike Pence and Kamala Harris are expected to set a different tone at tonight's vice presidential debate in Utah.
These two candidates are just so completely different than the people at the top of the ticket.
Jason Perry, the director of the Hinckley Institute of Politics at the University of Utah, says this debate takes on extra significance after President Trump's COVID diagnosis.
Anytime you see something like this get to the highest levels of the White House, it becomes something that everyone in the country just wants an answer to.
As a precaution, the candidates and moderator will sit 12 feet apart with plexiglass dividers between them.
Everyone inside the debate hall will be subjected to a variety of health and safety protocols, including COVID testing and mask wearing. If anyone does not wear a mask, officials say they will be escorted out.
Everyone is taking it very seriously.
In addition to the White House COVID outbreak, there's a battle over filling the Supreme Court seat, nationwide racial unrest. On top of that,
we've never had presidential candidates at this age.
The two presidential candidates are the oldest in history.
And now we have two very senior people running for president. And I think there's a real focus on the vice president in a way that we've never seen before.
Today will be the only time the vice presidential candidates take the debate stage. Danya Backus, CBS News, Salt Lake City, Utah.
Last night, Joe Biden said that President Trump needs to be virus-free before their next debate on October 15th. Meanwhile, Montana Republicans are still hoping to stop mail-in elections in the state by asking for help from the U.S. Supreme Court. Last week, a federal judge in Missoula ruled against two Republican lawsuits, saying there's no evidence of voter fraud connected to mail voting. The Republicans appealed, but the Ninth Circuit Court decided against hearing their case. Now, GOP officials are waiting to find out if the Supreme Court will take on the case. 45 of Montana's 56 counties are preparing to mail ballots to all registered voters on Friday. Montana's U.S. Senate race has likely broken the state record for spending on a single campaign. With almost 4 weeks to go, Senator Steve Daines and his challenger, Governor Steve Bullock, have already dropped north of $75 million. Combined, the candidates have aired more TV ads since Labor Day weekend than any Senate contest in the entire country. Outside groups have spent $55 million. That's $29 million for Bullock and just under $26 million for Daines. The old spending record was set in 2018 when Senator Jon Tester held on to defeat Matt Rosendale. Both candidates are weighing in on coronavirus cases here in Montana. In a statement to MTN, a Bullock campaign spokesman said the governor believes the rise in cases is deeply concerning, as it should be to all Montanans. He will continue to urge everyone to do their part to keep each other safe and healthy by wearing a mask in public, washing your hands, social distance, and listening to recommendations of public health experts. Senator Daines says he doesn't like the trend of daily case numbers records being broken.
We now have one of the top 10 highest infection rates in the nation. And so Montana now has moved to the forefront of very high COVID-19 positive rates. It concerns me greatly. I'll tell you what's going to be important here is the innovation occurring with American scientists to get these amazing drugs out that will help lower the mortality rate, but importantly, to get a vaccine out.
Governor Bullock will address the issue at a press conference later today. Yesterday, the state passed a grim milestone. 200 Montanans have died from COVID-19. Health officials announced 504 new cases on Tuesday. Since the start of the pandemic, nearly 16,000 Montanans have tested positive. Currently, there are more than 5,000 active cases in the state. Local restaurant owners are holding their breath following an announcement from local health leaders that their customer base may be reduced on November 2nd. The Yellowstone County Health Officer said if 40 out of every 100,000 residents were infected with COVID-19 by October 31st, restaurant capacity will shrink to 25%. The owners of the 406 Tap Room are urging everyone to follow guidelines so they won't have to lay off staff. And the people behind the Montana Brewing Company say they don't know if they could stay open if the capacity was reduced that greatly. Right now, the infection rate in Yellowstone County is 36 infections per 100,000 residents. School is much different in the year of the coronavirus, starting with students in masks. Q2's Janelle Slade checked in at one of the Billings middle schools and found out for some kids, masks are a motivator.
Do I have to keep it on all the time? Can't I have a break? How come we have to wear these?
The words Lewis and Clark counselor Mackenzie Umamoto expected to hear for the rest of the year when school started up just about 7 weeks ago. But the complaints didn't last long.
The kids have their expectations outlined for them ahead of time so they know what door they're supposed to come to. They come in those doors in the morning. They are supposed to go right to class.
Educators believe by setting clear expectations from day one helped remove some of the unknown and anxiety.
The first day I think was probably the hardest day because I wasn't used to it and it was all just new and weird.
7th grader Marin Rice says her mask gets hot. She has to talk louder and it's sometimes hard to tell how her classmates are feeling. But she'd rather wear it than have to go home.
The kids are so happy to be at school that I haven't got any complaints about wearing their masks. The biggest concern is if they lose their mask or they break the strap on the ear, or something, and they go, what do I do now? They're pretty open with, they want to be here and they're going to do everything they can to stay here.
But masks are not without their challenges and impacts on our children.
They really want to just be kids and be with their friends. So like at lunchtime, we have them spread apart.
Yeah, we all get really annoyed by that because it's really hard to talk. So usually we sit in like a triangle because then that's a lot easier to talk, but it's still really annoying because we can't look at each other.
So they're really missing out on that. They have to be in smaller groups and then, we have them 6 feet away from each other and it kind of makes that social part a lot harder.
There are, of course, other challenges right now that these students and teachers have never faced, but they're masking up, motivated, and facing them together.
We talk to our kids all the time about this being safe with each other, and understanding that it is very serious that if you're in direct contact with somebody and they have to go home because of COVID, then you have to go home because of COVID. So they wear their masks all the time.
In Billings, Janelle Slade, MTN News.
The students and staff at Lewis and Clark tell us they are grateful for the nice weather because they can go outside for lunch and for breaks during their long classes. Once the cold moves in, lunch will be spread throughout the cafeteria and the rest of the school. Also making headlines this morning, yet another major storm is taking aim at the Gulf Coast. On Tuesday, Tropical Storm Delta intensified into a Category 4 hurricane as it approached Mexico. It's on course to approach the Louisiana coast on Friday. Delta is the 9th hurricane of the year and the 3rd Category 4 storm. In California, the August complex fire is now the largest in the state's history, earning the special designation of a gigafire. It's a brand new term coined by scientists to mean a fire that burns more than 1 million acres. The August complex is California's first in this category. However, experts say it's not the first gigafire in the U.S. Previous fires here in Montana, Idaho, and Alaska have also scorched more than 1 million acres. And before we take a break, Eddie Van Halen, the guitar virtuoso who was part of one of the biggest rock bands in the late 70s and 80s, has died of cancer at the age of 65. CBS's Michael George looks back at his life.
To music fans, Eddie Van Halen was nothing short of a rock god. His eponymous band was a force to be reckoned with right out of the gate. Their hard-charging 1978 debut album sold 10 million copies. Together with his flamboyant lead singer David Lee Roth, brother Alex on drums, and bassist Michael Anthony, Van Halen defined heavy metal with monster hits like Jump from their decade-defining album 1984.
I can sit down and play, it doesn't matter, you know? I don't think people come to see me, you know, slide on my knees or jump.
Thanks in no small part to his virtuoso guitar skills, Van Halen survived a falling out with Roth, scoring big hits with replacement lead singer Sammy Hagar. The Dutch-born Van Halen had been married to actress Valerie Bertinelli for more than 2 decades before breaking up, in part because of his struggles with substance abuse. The couple had one son, Wolf, who broke the news of his father's death on Twitter. His legacy endures. Van Halen is one of the 20 best-selling artists of all time, and Rolling Stone listed him at number 8 in its list of 100 greatest guitarists of all time. Michael George, CBS News.
Former frontman Sammy Hagar tweeted he is heartbroken and speechless after the death of his former bandmate.